Don't fall asleep, I think. Bhutto. Don't fall asleep. Huh? The teaching of the Lord Buddha, once we start to practice it, we don't have to remember very much of it. We have to remember the Four Noble Truths. The first Noble Truth, the truth of dukkha. There is dukkha. What is dukkha? Dukkha is dissatisfaction, unsatisfactoriness. It is restlessness, boredom, pain, suffering, mental pain, bodily pain, mental suffering and bodily suffering. The second Noble Truth is the cause for our dukkha. It is the desire to be or not to be. It is desire to become or not to become. It is the desire to want or not to want. That causes the dukkha. The third Noble Truth is just a statement, that there is an end of dukkha. And the fourth Noble Truth is that why we are here. The path that leads to the end of dukkha. It starts with sila, the 5 precepts, not harming any living being, not taking what is not given, no sexual misconduct, no lies or harsh speech, no alcohol and no drugs. Samadhi is the ability to concentrate and to develop sati. And panya is the development of wisdom. Wisdom by investigation, by what we think, what is us. These Four Noble Truths. What do we have to investigate? We have to investigate the 5 khandhas, the 5 groups that we think it is us. Whenever we think about ourselves, we think about the body, we think about feelings, we think about memory and association, we think about thoughts and consciousness. There's nothing else that we normally consider to be us. And these are the groups that we have to investigate. And we can only start with the investigation of the body or bodily feelings. Then we have to know avijja. Avijja, that is behind everything. Avijja is a condition that all phenomena arise. Avijja has 3 armies that are normally called greed, hatred and delusion. What we are normally facing now is greed and hatred. And behind greed and hatred is delusion that moves the army of greed and hatred. These armies consist of kilesas, or the soldiers. And when we start to practice, and practice to undermine the power of avijja, who is the tyrant, who is our oppressor or imposter, then we are going to go against the kilesas. We are going to have to fight against these soldiers that are called kilesas. In the beginning, the fight is easy. In the beginning, they don't take us very serious. So, they just send mercenaries that are easy to fight, and then comes the soldiers, the trained soldiers, and then come the elite soldiers. So over the time of our practice, the fight will get more difficult and more difficult. In the beginning, it is not so difficult. When we look where is avijja located, when we look where the kilesas are located, when we look where the Dhamma is located, it is within our chitta. The chitta is the most important thing when we consider the Buddhist practice. There where everything takes place. The intention of the thought arises here, the thought itself arises here, the resistance arises here, the pain arises here, everything arises here. Our doubts arise here. Whatever comes up in our world, arises within the chitta. So when you look at it, you can see it, there are two main powers that rule the chitta. There's one thing that is the avijja, and the other thing is the Dhamma. You can call it the light, there's the light in the chitta, or there's the darkness. The darkness is normally considered to be avijja, and the light is to be considered the Dhamma. And that's all what we need to know. There's nothing more than we need to know if we want to start our practice. So let's concentrate on the fourth noble truth. The truth that leads to the end of dukkha. It starts, with keeping the 5 precepts. When you're here living in the monastery, you keep the 8 precepts as a lay person, and when you're a monk, you keep the 227 precepts. But before, and that is an important thing, that is an important requisite before we can even start practicing, before we can become monks, before we can stay in a monastery. There are 3 requisites that we need. And some of us have developed them quite well. Others of us, have quite some work to do on it. And that the first thing is generosity. Why is generosity so important? If we can't let go of material things, how difficult will it be, or it will be impossible to let go of our own ideas, of our views, of our opinions. So generosity must be developed before we even start to practice. Think about, think about the path, what the Lord Buddha said. It is easier to fight a whole army as one person than to fight oneself. To let go of one's views and opinions, what one thinks, is so extremely difficult. And if one doesn't have a teacher who one can entrust, then it is nearly impossible. The Lord Buddha could make it, but what did he do, How many lives, how many eons of lives did he spend, in training himself? For us, most of us, really need a teacher. And if we need a teacher, we need to rely on him, we need to submit. Whatever he says, if it is the right teacher, if it's not the right teacher, then we have to look for another teacher. There are many teachers in this world. Buddhist teacher, others teacher. So we have to find the right teacher and then entrust ourselves to him. Whatever he says, we do. If he says left, then we go left. If he says right, then we go right. It is important, if you cannot trust him, if you don't have faith in our teacher, I mean, it's useless to stay here. Yeah? Then you really should look, for another teacher. And the Lord Buddha, about teachers, the Lord Buddha said, when Ananda asked him if a good teacher, is half of the spiritual life, and then the Lord Buddha answered, no, don't say that, Ananda. A good teacher or Kalyana Mitta, is the whole spiritual life. So if you find one, just entrust yourself to him. If you're still on the lookout, then go and look. The second thing, that is especially when we come from the West, is the respect. The respect for our teacher, the respect for other people, the respect for animals, respecting them. We always have this notion we cannot respect somebody if he's not a good person. That has nothing to do with respect. Respecting that the other being is a person, or is an animal, or is a deva, or is a ghost. That is the meaning of respect. What we call respect is, if you say, oh, he's a good person, I can respect him. I can value him. That is not the respect that we need. If we cannot respect other people, even if it is a bad person, we can't respect ourselves. Because, in the end, we are also bad. If you can't respect other bad people, how can we respect ourselves? It doesn't necessarily mean that we have to find that good, or to evaluate that we are bad or that other people are bad. It has nothing to do with respect. Take yourself as you are, if you are born as a human being, there's evil in your heart. Every being, even the Lord Buddha had evil in his heart before he became an Arahant. Otherwise he wouldn't have been born. A person who doesn't have evil and a person who has evil has good. A good person, normally has evil in him. Otherwise he wouldn't be born as a human being or as any other being. But the degree, of how much goodness is in him or how much evil is in him, that differs from person to person. So in the end, we can respect any person, or any being, no matter how bad he is. He has the right to live, just like we have the right to live. We cannot put ourselves above him, we cannot put ourselves below him, and we shouldn't put ourselves at the same level with him. If you just understood that, actually this is the eighth fetter, conceit. Thinking better, thinking of oneself being better than others, thinking about others being equal with others, or thinking one is below others. It's a very difficult thing to understand, this fetter. It's not easy. And the last thing, the last virtue is gratitude. Being grateful for what is given to one. Not constantly demanding this or demanding that. And it's very difficult. Also especially when we come from the West. Constantly we are dissatisfied. So that leads back to the first noble truth, dukkha, dukkha, dukkha. We are dissatisfied with what is given to us. So we are unhappy about it. That's not being grateful. That is ungrateful. Whatever is given to us, and that we have to to learn that as monks, whatever is put in our mouths, that's what we eat. Yeah, we cannot demand this or demand that. Yeah, we cannot demand being in a nice kuti. Yeah, we cannot demand being in a nice environment. Yeah? Whatever is given to us. Yeah? A monk, who comes into a monastery, he's advised, he's pointed out a kuti where he can stay, and he should be happy with that. Yeah? And that, of course, it includes the lay people who come here. Yeah? You can stay here for free. Yeah? Nobody charges you. Yeah? And there's no right that you have to demand this or demand that. Yeah? You should be happy. You should be satisfied with the way the things are. Yeah? That it's difficult for us, especially when we come from the West. Yeah? We're not happy about this. We are not happy about that. But that has nothing to do. We are unhappy because of our dukkha. Yeah? We are not satisfied because we cannot concentrate. If you could concentrate and go into Upachara Samadhi, then what is the problem? Where's the problem? There's no more problem. The moment our thoughts stop, there's no more problem. There's no more worries. There's no future and there's no past. There's just this one moment. So don't forget generosity, the ability to give away not only material things, but then in the on the path of practice, your views, your opinions, your ideas. Just to let them go. There's nothing to do. Idea occurs, and the idea passes away. A view appears, and it passes away. It's not ours. All these things appear and passes away. That is the principle of anicca. You have to know this. This is one of the principles of this universe, how this is working. Anicca, anatta, dukkha. And dukkha is the first noble truth. We know it. It's dissatisfaction, suffering, pain, boredom, restlessness, whatever you call it. Anatta is the most difficult, or more difficult one. That's not me, that's not myself, that doesn't belong to me. What doesn't belong to me? Whatever I can perceive doesn't belong to me. It's not me, it's not mine. So a view that occurs to me, it's not me, it's not mine. Opinion that occurs to me, it's not me and it's not mine. Why do I have to fight? Why do I have to fight? This is the right view, or this is, whatever view I have, it still, as close as it might come to the truth, it's still wrong. So anicca is the impermanence. Everything arises and ceases. It arises, it stays on for a while and changes, and then until it disappears. That's the principle of anicca. Anatta, just as I explained, that's not me, that's not mine, doesn't belong to me. Whatever I can see, whatever I can hear, whatever I can feel, whatever I can perceive, that's not me. We have to be able to separate out the subject and the object. Whatever the subject knows, it cannot be whatever the subject knows about the object, or if it sees an object, it cannot be the object. When I look at my hand, I cannot be the hand. It's a cheetah that is stuck in this body, and thinks and believes that it is the body. The principle of anatta is especially important, when we look, when we start to investigate the five khandhas. Body, feeling, memory, association, thoughts, and consciousness. That's where anicca is really, we really have to tell us, this body is not me, it's not mine. We inhabit it, we have to take care of it, and that's it. Don't have to love it, and we don't have to find it loathsome. It's neither good nor is it bad. It just is as it is. But that is not yet our view. We don't see it like this. Somehow, we adore this body because it gives us the feeling that we can do something. We can create something, or we can destroy something. It gives us a feeling of power. But that's why we have to investigate it. What kind of benefits does this body give us? But before we can investigate any of these khandhas, they are called khandhas, or groups, we have to train our mind to be one-pointed, to clearly realize, subject and object. So that's why we train in Samadhi, and for this, we use either the word Buddha, mentally repeating the word Buddha until the Buddha runs automatically, and then we start to observe the Buddha. Until there's no more thoughts. And when there's no more thoughts, that is called Upachara Samadhi or Access Samadhi. We're in a world of experience. There's no future, there's no past. And there's certainly not somebody who comments. Somebody who tells us, look at this, or this is nice, or this is not so nice. There's nobody there anymore. And this is something we don't realize. This commentator that constantly gets on our nerves, is in our ears for 24 hours a day, suddenly stops talking. That is called Upachara Samadhi. Whatever we see, we know, but we don't put it out loud into words, or into language. We don't need a language for our experience, we know it. As long as this commentator comes out, this is right, this is wrong, you should do it like this, you should do it like that. You're way far away from Upachara Samadhi. Once you come out of Upachara Samadhi, you feel rested, you feel energized. That is the sign, no matter, no matter how this access samadhi is for you. Some people feel extreme joy, some people feel extreme peacefulness, some people feel extreme happiness, and some people, feel just stillness. No matter how it is for you, because access samadhi has so many different flavors, and for each person this flavor is different. The only thing that holds true for everyone is, when you come out, you feel rested, concentrated. Just like you wake up from a deep sleep. You're powered, and your concentration is good, your sati is good. That's the result of Upachara Samadhi. If you don't have this result, you weren't there, even if it was a nice experience. This commentator, you understand that? They constantly tells us if something is nice. It even tells us, this is the stillness. This is the happiness. This is the joy. It's coming. I'm soon. That is still the commentator, and this commentator had to shut up in order for us, to get really peaceful, to get really energized. Because this commentator who tells us everything that we experience, as if there would be nobody, who is there to experience it. It's just like you sit on a football field, you have your eyes and ears wide open, but you only listen to the commentator who sits above you and tells you what is going on the football field, as if you have no eyes and ears. And that's how stupid we are. You always listen to somebody else who tells you what is happening. Instead of relying on our knowingness, on our sati, that knows what is going on. It might not yet understand what is going on, but it still knows what is going on. You can call it notice, yeah? You can call it knowing, no matter what, yeah? But if there's a commentator trying to explain to you what happened, then you're wrong. Yeah? Then you're certainly off the track. Yeah? You cannot help, yeah, not to notice. That's the power of sati. That's the power of our existence. Of course we notice, yeah? But we are not aware of our notice. Because we only listen to this commentator who tells us what is happening. Yeah? In the same time, with Buddha, once our Buddha is stable, yeah, then there are no more other thoughts, yeah? And we feel happy, contented, and we can listen to the Buddha. Yeah? And the Buddha goes into the heart. Yeah? It is very pronounced. Yeah? Everything else disappears. Yeah? Upachara Samadhi is where where the world, goes far off. Yeah? It's just like, you can say spaced out, but, it's not the right word, But everything, moves into the distance, yeah? Even if you have a very painful feeling, it is so far away that we can't, yeah? that we are not bothered by it. Yeah? Even if there is still sound, we are not bothered by it, and our cheetah doesn't go out to it. Yeah? But our sati is not strong enough, so it constantly relies on the commentator who tells us what is going on. Yeah? That means we are not really yet in Upachara Samadhi. Yeah? We are not really in that state where we need to rest. It is like a deep sleep. Yeah? And we need that deep sleep if we want to do any kind of work. Just like any person in this world needs to rest the body if he works for 8, 10 or 12 hours a day. Yeah? He needs this rest. Yeah? He needs the food and he needs the rest. Yeah? And we need that food, and we need that rest of Upachara Samadhi. That is the minimum. Yeah? If we can't achieve it, we don't go anywhere. And this is something that we really, really have to understand. Yeah? Samadhi, why did the Lord Buddha talk about Samadhi if it wasn't that important? Yeah? Sila, Samadhi, Panya. Yeah? Once we have the power, of this concentration, once we have the power of this sati, of this knowingness, then we can start to investigate. And then suddenly, when we start to investigate, things are neutral. We just look at it and see, okay, that's like that. Yeah? That's not coming from the commentators, so we just see it. Yeah? We're completely objective. Yeah? When we start investigating the body and see the loathsomeness of the body, yeah? We see it, yeah. Oh, that's how it is, yeah. We look at the stomach, that's how it is, yeah. We look at the heart, it's just a pump, That's how it is. Or we look at the brain, the quivering, yeah. That's how it is. Or we look at the hair, yeah. And so on and so on. Yeah? We need this power of samadhi, yeah. We need the power, samadhi develops, the sati, this knowingness. Knowing that the breath goes in, knowing that the breath goes out. Our concentration stays put at the tip of the nose, or where we, in the beginning, feel the breath the most. That is important, we shouldn't forget that. We don't move around, we don't go through the body. And the more our concentration develops, the more our sati develops. That's the whole point of this concentration exercise. And what is the sati knowing? It's noticing the breath. In the beginning, it notices the breath at the tip of the nose. You can feel it. And feeling is, of course, a much stronger sensation than knowing it. But once the mind gets quiet, once we enter Upachara Samadhi, the knowingness of the breath becomes so strong that we are not interested in anything else. Everything else disappears. Yeah? And if we go on, feeling, as I said before, things become very distant. Yeah? And even the body becomes very distant. Yeah? In the end of our Samadhi practice, when we go on, concentrating on the breath, our body disappears. It starts to disappear. The legs disappears. The lower torso disappears. The head disappears. The arms disappear. Everything disappears because our concentration becomes stronger and stronger. Yeah? But how can we gather this concentration or gather up this concentration if we are not concentrating on one point? And the only thing that is left then is where the cheetah is, the area around the cheetah, until that also disappears and we enter Appana Samadhi, one-pointedness. And what can you say about one-pointedness? We only know a world, where there is subject and object. But we don't know the world where subject and object merges into one. How is it like? You cannot even describe it. Yeah? The only thing when you come back is you can say, I wasn't asleep. Yeah? There's this pure knowingness, or the clear, crisp knowingness, but this knowingness doesn't know any objects. This should be understood. When we start, it doesn't matter if we do Buddha or if we do the breath meditation. We cannot help but noticing a lot of things. And we always do the mistakes of going to these things that we notice. Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, that is interesting. How can you possibly then go into one-pointedness if you constantly, go out to these phenomena? Oh, that is strong, headache or whatever it is, or prickling, or this or that, yeah, or the sensation of a nice feeling. Yeah? We don't have that sati to see that an intention is formed to go out to this phenomena, because it's nothing than a phenomena, and these phenomena are created by avijja to divert our attention. Yeah? If that is not clear, I don't know. Yeah? We want to keep on one point to enter one-pointedness. That is our objective for the training of Samadhi. And all what we have to know is this one point. Yeah? When we do investigation of the body, then we put this one point on the body or any kind of organs or any parts of the body, of the 32 parts of the body. Be it the outside, be it the hair of the head, the hair of the body, be it the skin, be it the teeth, or be it the nails, yeah? Whatever you like, then you put your attention on that, yeah? And you don't waver, yeah? And you don't move it from this, yeah? People are constantly, swaying around, yeah? Then they interested, now I know the nails, 5 minutes later they go to the hair, then they go to the skin, then they are bored, they go inside, yeah? That is not contemplation. Contemplation, for 1 hour you stick to the same object, like if you haven't learned it through Samadhi, you can't do contemplation. Yeah? You stick to the same object no matter what, yeah? And you will notice a lot of things about this object, but you don't comment about these noticing, about this knowingness, about this. Huh? You just watch it, you observe it. Yeah? If it is not yet clear, that our practice is mostly observing it, yeah? We have to understand. Yeah? And we can only understand. That's why I always bring up the example of a physicist who wants to know what is going to happen if he sends two elements, yeah, in high speed towards each other. Yeah? He has to observe. He doesn't know what is going to happen. He has to observe. He might have ideas about it, but he observes every movement, yeah, in slow motion. Yeah? And that means every mind moment. And if you have not realized it yet, there are 3,000 mind moments in one blink of the eye. So, you have to get down to, or you have to get up to the speed, to realize the intention. And then you realize the intention that you want to come in it, or you realize the intention that you want to go out to this phenomena. All what you realize is that you are drifted away. And that's already a long, long time before. You're always walking after the effects. There's something happening, and then you're dreaming, and then suddenly, that was nice, that is not so nice, why is it like this? That's not meditation. Meditation is either concentrating on the Buddha or on the breath, and always the moment you see that the mind is lost, returning to the breath or returning to the Buddha, or if it is too difficult in the beginning, use the Buddha with breathing in and the Do with breathing out. Until the mind stops commenting, until the mind stops, constantly running all these phenomena. I hope this is clear right now. We need this training, we need this knowingness. And you cannot help but notice the stronger your concentration is, and the more developed your sati is, then you will see, when you're at the tip of the nose, you will see how the concentration still sticks to the nose, the tip of the nose, while the sati returns from where it comes, from the cheetah. So then you have two. You will still concentrate on the nose, and once the sati goes back to the heart where it's coming from, once it's separated out, you cannot help but noticing all these things. But you shouldn't go out to these phenomena. You will notice a lot of things about this body. Until you feel the whole breath body. That happens automatically, you cannot force it, Because then it's not natural, You should not force it, to feel the whole breath body, Just stick to the point until it happens on its own. And it will happen on its own. Once your sati is improving, you will notice more and more and more, You will notice the breath, in all the various parts, But you still stick, to the point of concentration. Because that is the training. Once the mind goes out to phenomena, bring it back. Once the mind goes out to a thought, just bring it back. In the end, if you do a breathing meditation, you feel, you feel how the breath comes in through the skin. You're not only feeling the movement of the breath, of course you can imagine all these things, but that is not the practice. You can really feel it, you really know it, and in this respect you really know it that the breath comes in through your feet, there's quite a thick skin, or through the skull. There's breath, there's air coming in, And this you know. How can you not know? If you concentrate well, how can you not know? It's impossible not to know. But what is the mistake is that you always give words to this knowing, and that's where you falsify the truth. You give comments, that is nice, or this is not so nice, or this is this, oh, I read this, and it should be like this, or this should be Samadhi, and that's where you go wrong. The moment the commentator comes in, that's where you go wrong. And the sati should be there, even after we leave Samadhi. When we get up, there should be the sati, still prevailing. So you go into your next, in the walking meditation, or when you did walking meditation, back to the sitting meditation. Sati should, you should keep that, yeah. That's why you should keep your attention, from the morning you wake up until the moment you go to bed. Yeah? That's a practice. That's a practice of Samadhi, and I don't know how often I told you. Right? You always find the cheetah, the kilesas always find a way out, how they can completely merge it up and blur it up, and I mix it together, and then they start to get confused, what is there, to be confused about? Yeah? For the breath meditation, there's the tip of the nose, and there's the breath. How can you get confused about it? That's your objective, You always return, no matter what happens, you return to the breath, How can that be confusing? I don't understand that. It's the same thing for contemplation. We need this. When we are at the skin, then we stay at the skin. Whenever the kilesas want to investigate another object, you just go back to the skin. Okay, there. Just back. You want to make things happen. That is the way of the world. That is not the way of a practitioner. You want to make things happen. You want to control this world. You want to control your experience. That's not going to work out. We are control freaks, and the freedom is to let go of this control. Is that understood? Is that clear? We don't want to control things. We don't want to control our environment. We don't want to control our karma. We don't want to control the breath. We don't want to control the Buddha. All what we want to do is, fixing the mind back to the Buddha or fixing it back to the breath. That's the only control that we do. But we can't let go of this control. We constantly need to do things. I see it with my upataks. They try to control it. When they do their work. And that's why it doesn't work out. We are there, observe, and then do. We see if something is not right, then we do it. If we see it's okay, then we don't need to do it. Why this controlling, this controlling is oppressing us. It creates a stress, Creates a lot of stress. And stress is a lot of dukkha. Why do you put yourself in the situation, to create this dukkha? Or to create the stress? Freedom. What is freedom? Accepting whatever is. Not trying to do this or trying to do this, trying to change this, trying to change that, trying to control this, trying to control that. Because that is the way of the world. Freedom is just watching a movie. Things already happen in the movie. But if you look at our past experience, if you can remember when we went to the movies, we wanted even to change the script of the movie because we didn't like the ending or we didn't like this person, how he reacted. He should have, you see our control freaks in there. He should have reacted like that. He should have said this, But the movie is just going on. The movie is already written a long time ago. And it's just like this universe. This universe has been written all long time ago. And it's constantly rewritten and constantly changes. So we can't make it to our liking. That's futile. And this is something you should realize. All what we want to do is want to understand, want to observe how things are, not to make things in a certain way. So, I hope you understand it, and then I end the talk with this, And put some more effort in your practice. It's a pity. Sleeping. Sleeping. It's just avoiding to see the truth sleeping. Ow, my knee hurts. If you do things half-heartedly, you get half-hearted results. Yeah? Constant changing from this method to that method. Yeah? And then you don't get any results. Huh? I don't know what kind of people you are. Huh? I mean, when I look at my own practice, I met my first teacher, he said, do this, and then I did. I didn't even ask, because I saw him. I wanted his results. I thought, he was a great person. Yeah? And then I asked him, how did you do it? Yeah? And then he told me the way, and then I did it. Yeah? Not questioning this, not questioning that. Yeah? Not looking it up. Yeah? I wasn't really interested in any kind of books. Yeah? Never read, in the first few years, I never read any suttas of the Lord Buddha, not any book about the Lord Buddha. Yeah? Only once my teacher was gone, and then I started to read. Yeah? But then I met Ajahn Mahaprabhu, and I did the same thing. Yeah? You have to submit yourself to the person that you have faith in. Yeah? If you want to learn the things, if you want to be like this person, then you just ask, how did you do it? And then you just follow it without any questions. Yeah? You completely have to subdue yourself. Otherwise, how can you get results if you still have opinions about this, opinions about that? That should be made like this should be better, this works for me. Yeah? You don't get any results. I haven't seen a person who got results by that. But it's so difficult for us as Westerners to subdue ourselves, yeah? To put ourselves, completely under the under the observance of another person, and listen to what he says. Yeah? Only a few people can do it, yeah? And these few people who can do it, will have success. Who cannot do it, will still, hang on with his own views and opinions of how he should do the practice or not, yeah? Or what he should practice or not, yeah? What do we call these kind of people in the world? Smart-ass. Yeah? So, it's completely up to you, no? It's your life, yeah? And you have the opportunity here in this monastery. Huh? Why are you sitting like this? Huh? It's still a talk, yeah? Huh? And especially you're Thai, you should know it, how to sit properly when you listen to a Dhamma Desana, huh? So it's up to you, it's your life, and you have the opportunity. There are few monasteries, yeah, in Thailand, who give you the opportunity to wholeheartedly practice and not be concerned about any other things, about building projects, about this or about that, yeah. So take the opportunity and practice, yeah, to your heart, yeah? So that you get results, and practice correctly so that you get results. Yeah? If you think my teaching doesn't suit you, go. Yeah? There are enough teachers there. And each one teaches differently. Yeah? I just teach what my teacher told me. Yeah? And everything else I don't know. And I don't care really. Yeah? Because I know, the way that he taught, brings results. And brings results in the way of what is it, of the 4 areas, yeah? And that's most important, yeah? I'm not interested in anything else. Okay, so let's finish. So, saying Linda is going to stay here and translate everything into Chinese. You probably need the whole night. Take dependence. Okay. Whoever needs to take dependence, take dependence.
When you went away.
Oh, yeah, I wasn't there in the morning.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Ajariyo me ante hohi Ayasamato nisaya vachami. Acariyo me bhante hohi. Ayasamato nisaya vachami. Acariyo me bhante hohi. Ayasamato nisaya vachami.
O Pai Kang,
Sadhu Bhante,
Pratirupang,
Sadhu Bhante,
Prasadakena Sampadehi,
Sadhu Bhante, Ajatakena Nitero, Mayham Paro, Aham Vitera Saparo, Ajatakena Nitero, Mayham Paro, Aham Vitera Saparo, Ajatake danitero, Mayham paro, Aham pitera saparo.
So you remember what it means?
Please forgive me. Disappointed when you asked me what I was doing. Actually, I was switching my
Buddha, Buddha. I mean, worries are the kilesas. Have you not understood it?
Yes.
Yes. Huh? He says yes, and he still does the same thing over and over and over again, just like an answer.
So I thought I better tell you.
Buddha. And that is the worry, you know. I didn't tell you, maybe I get no bad karma. Buddha.
Okay.